hear your story.
Which
And
one?
many of them.
All right.
Yeah.
And you're going to
So
go back and edit this and piece it together later?
maybe.
Sarah says so.
Yeah, Sarah's gonna do her magic on that,
I just realized, Sarah, you have an H.
on her last name,
On my
Yeah,
last.
that counts if you just run it all together.
which is squishes
Yeah, that's
together.
why it's
Yeah,
never
she
really
gets
bothered
that.
me.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh, let's see. I gotta get the okay thing off here. Oh, now I lost you.
I'm over here.
You didn't lose me though. I'm glad.
I know right
Okay.
where you are.
There we are. We are. Okay. Why do I get nervous all of a sudden?
Oh, no.
I don't know.
I know how to fix it, though. I know how to fix it.
Yeah, the most important thing is you just relax when you're doing these interviews. It's way more fun. You don't want to be
serious because ain't nobody got time for that.
About or not?
I love it. I love
You
it.
can edit that out or not. I don't care.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate you. Okay, Dr. Dan. Dr. Dan Diamond, thank you for being here. I thank you for being here. We're going to kick off. This is part of our Inspired Artists series, and we're here to chat. And we think artists, everyone's an artist, right? That's our belief, that everyone's an artist. And we just allowed that conduit, right? To whatever that artistry might look like. And so Dr. Dan is our second interview on the Inspired Artist series. And because you're an artist and we want to hear your story, to be, you're probably a multi-passionate artist. So we'll probably hear a few of those things, and really just living your artistry, whatever that might look like every day. And you are definitely doing that. And I am so honored to call you friend. I don't know, we talked about a story of you found Jesus or you didn't find him there, you saw him there in Walmart. And
Yeah.
that'll be an
that's
inspiring story for another day.
Yeah.
But Dr. Dan, you make it really easy to see Christ in you.
Thank you.
And it's my honor to be able to I want even more to that, bring that out. And I just want to get out of the way so that we can have an elevated conversation of just heart to heart, and Sarah as well. And we just really want to dive in and just feel the love, and trust that the people that are watching this will also feel the love and the heart that we have for each other, and have for creatives and conscious artists out there that are just, doing their thing, wanting to do this full time. And, we're just here to inspire them and to support them along the way. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm delighted. I'm super excited. I'm going to do this, put myself on Do Not Disturb, because somebody just called me just for fun right in the middle of this. It's like, what? How do you not know that we're spending time together?
Right? I will just do the same.
So I have this, I have an alter ego, and the alter ego looks something like this.
Oh, I understand you. I would like to hear a little bit about that, because you have that.
That's one of my alter egos. There's another one too that maybe I'll show you in a minute. But I worked my way through school as a street mime, through medical school. So it was kind of a fun thing, because I could pick my own hours. And, most of the time I just did big festivals, and occasionally went down to Pike Place Market in Seattle. And although that's cobblestones down there, and it's hard to do mime in ballet slippers on cobblestones, if you can imagine.
Yeah, that's got to be brutal on your body.
Well, only when I fell. Because you can trip on those cobblestones. They're kind of uneven, which is, it's just not helpful. So yeah. But anyway, so I have that artistic side. And theater is my thing, but I've never been in an official play.
Okay.
I also have another character that's a silent clown, but here's a close up. We'll see if my tech works. Does it? Yeah.
Oh wow.
That was my son and I doing mime at church. So there's that piece, and then recently, if I can find this, let's see. Hold on. If I was organized, this would be all ready for you, and we would seem so much more professional. But
we don't need profession.
we're having casual conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the deal. So I brought my silent clown character out of retirement for Easter last year and had so much fun. Oh my gosh, it was good. He's just hiding right now. You can't blame him. He's kind of shy. He's not really shy at all, but I don't know. He's hiding. I'm not going to find him right now, but I'll find him, and then we can. You could probably go into Google and just search by find the clowns. Where's the clowns? Yeah, JP Patches comes up, but I don't. And you're not old enough to know who JP Patches is, but he was the clown in Seattle.
Oh, wow.
And he was on the TV, and it was awesome. It was great fun. I don't know. Nope, there he is. Poof. It pays off, this patience.
Like, don't I want to see?
There we go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, check out the shoes. Those are size
I love it.
17 Converse All-Stars, hand-painted.
Wow, that's awesome.
And that's some quality blended makeup work there.
That is awesome.
So yeah, that's my art is coming alongside people, being friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those mimes that harasses people
Have nightmares.
most of the time. I mean, there's some people that need to be harassed, put in an invisible box they can't get out, that kind of thing. But
That's awesome. So where do you call home? Just outside of Seattle? Is that right?
yeah, I'm in Bremerton, Washington, which is across the water from Seattle out on the Olympic Peninsula,
Nice.
and have been here for, I don't know, since 1986, at 38 years, something like that. Is that possible? Yeah, something like that. Because I've been married 41 consecutive years.
I like that. I like that a lot. So Dr. Dan, so you have artistry kind of weaved, like what we think of as true artistry. But I believe like what you do in helping people, that you're masterfully equip people to perform under pressure. I think that's your artistry as well. So how did you, like, what was your journey in transitioning from embodying all that, from being a mime to being a family physician, and then, being on the front lines of disaster, and then now in the boardroom as well, those people are under pressure as well. And so your artistry is weaved in through all of that. How did you embody that, or kind of, if you were to kind of to paint that picture of that journey, what does that look like?
I'm going to sketch it instead of painting because that's easier. But
That's black and
yeah,
white.
I mean, during medical school, we got married and then 5 days later went to work in a refugee camp in Thailand with Hmong refugees for 3 months.
Wow.
And that was an amazing experience to live in a different culture. When you first get there on something like that, they treat you like the outsider and the prices are really high. And then after you've been there for a while, they go, oh, you're part of us now. And the prices go down and people are cool and they sit with you and talk with you and tell stories. And my dad was a big time storyteller. He loved telling stories. And I love telling stories. And, that was an experience where I got to hear different types of stories and stories of resilience and people that had lost their homes and lost everything. They would take all their money, put it in a bag, and then hike through the jungle for days, get to the Mekong River, tie their belongings onto some bamboo, float across the river, get picked up by the police. The police would take all their belongings and they would take them in their underwear and drop them off at the refugee camp. Have a nice day. When I think I'm having a bad day, you kind of got to go, wait a minute. I still have my clothes. It's life is still good. There's hope.
Everybody's just not in a sock,
And, then I did family medicine and delivered babies and did all kinds of fun stuff like that. And then transitioned into urgent care. But my buddy was doing the security for Youth for Christ DCLA conference series. They did every 3 years. It was in Washington, D.C. They had 20,000 junior high and high school kids on the grassy mall in front of the U.S. Capitol. It was 104 degrees outside, and 400 kids passed out. The fire department came in, hosed the crowd down with a fire hose, and shut the whole thing down. And my buddy's running around with all these people trying to getting them in ambulances and all that stuff. And he calls me in a panic, and he said, "When I do this again in 3 years, you're in charge of the medical." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, whatever." I'm thinking, I have no idea how to do big crowd medicine. I have no idea. I know how to do one at a time in the office, maybe two if a family's sick, but you know, how do you do thousands of people, 20,000 people? So I asked a friend of mine that I respect and said, you know, who do I go study with to become an expert? I have 3 years to get ready. And he sent me to a guy named Glenn Raswick, who ran rock medicine at the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic in California.
Oh my gosh.
So I call it, this was, you know, in 1991.
Okay.
So I called Raz up and said, hey, my wife and I are going to do this Christian event in a couple of years for Youth for Christ. And we don't know how to do big crowd medicine, but rumor has it you're the best in the world at doing it. Can we come and see how you do it? And he said, sure. So we went to a Pink Floyd concert in the Oakland Coliseum with 60,000 people, most of whom I'm convinced were stoned out of their minds. And we jumped in and helped. And at the end of the thing, Raz says, hey, man, you guys are cool. We thought you were going to be weird because you're Christians. We figured you'd be wearing shirts and little ties and stuff and leaning against the wall going, eee. But you guys jumped in and helped us clean up and help people and everything. We're coming to Seattle to do the Grateful Dead next month. Do you want to come? And I said, yeah, sure. Be happy to come. That'd be great fun. Can I bring my team? And he said, if they're cool like you, yeah. I said, well, they're all handpicked because of their sense of humor. We ended up doing the next 4 or 5 Grateful Dead shows in Seattle. I'll never forget. One of my team members was standing there, and our shirts have the big logo on the back that said Christian Medical Response Team. It's a cool logo. This guy walks up and he goes, whoa, Christian Medical Response Team? You think Jesus ever got stoned? And my staff member turns around and says, oh no, dude, they tried to stone him, but he got away. They ended up crucifying him. He came back to life again. And the guy goes, whoa, and walked off. You know, we started thinking we could do concerts as an outreach to bring Jesus love, not preaching at people, but just love and meeting them where they are, and, you know, taking care of them when they cut themselves. And, you know, like we would do IVs right there in the tent.
Yeah.
We sutured people. We did, I mean, all kinds. We just took care of them.
Yeah.
And it kept them out of the emergency room. So the emergency room was happy.
Yeah.
And the patients were happy because we did it for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we started doing these concerts, and we became the medical team for Seattle's big Bumbershoot Festival. We were the medical team for Endfest here, which was the alternative music festival for Seattle. That's where, you know, mosh pits and all that stuff. Yeah, that started right here, and I was the doc for it.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, I think
I mean, you're truly embodying art, and
I think we had one concert. We transported something like 17 neck injuries in collars, on a board, in an ambulance, and we airlifted one by helicopter. Yeah, don't go into mosh pits. That's a rule to live by right there. There's not nice things that happen in mosh pits, but so we had this team doing these concerts and stuff, and we had tons of experience. And then Hurricane Katrina happened.
Yeah.
And I knew it was coming, you know, because hurricanes are cool. They give you a warning.
Right.
Not like earthquakes, not like tornadoes, but hurricanes are cool because they're like, well, you know it's coming. You can hide. You can run. Get out of there. If you have the resources, you can get out of there. Not everybody does, but I called up my buddy that was working for World Concern and said, hey, man, we have a medical team, and New Orleans is going to get hammered.
Mm-hmm.
can we go? You know, do you want to partner or do something? We could do something. And he said, well, we don't do domestic stuff. We just do international. I said, okay, well, let me know if you change your mind. Then the levee broke in New Orleans. And New Orleans was in big trouble. So he called me back and he said, you were right. I was wrong. I'm at the airport where I'm flying to New Orleans, get your team ready. And so we left the next day, flew down to New Orleans. Initially, we were assigned to work in a big refugee center. And then he called me back and said, hey, I'm down in New Orleans proper, and the Nevada National Guard's running the show down here. They want you to come. Can you split your team? I said, yeah, cha. So we split our team, and half of us went to New Orleans, half stayed and worked in the center. It was the craziest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
By far.
I can't imagine. I mean, I watched your video that you talk a little bit about it, but I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, there's weird things that happen in New Orleans. Like, do you want to hear these stories? Is this helpful?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on, there's one area that I really want to dive deep into, but I also love the stories. So
But you can edit this stuff out if you don't like it. My staff came up and said, hey man, this lady says she can swallow a snake.
Oh, geez.
And I said, I'm not shy, you know, so I walked up to her and I said, excuse me, ma'am, I understand you can swallow a snake. And she said, I sure can. I said, you got one? She goes, I sure do. She reaches into her purse, pulls it out, and swallows that bad boy.
Oh, gosh.
And pulls it back out and swallows it again. Like,
wow. This is in New Orleans?
This is in New Orleans, craziest thing I ever saw. So I came home from that experience.
Did she pull it out a second time, or did she leave it?
Oh yeah, she pulled it out. She put it back in her purse.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I saw crazy stuff down there. 82nd Airborne Employee of the Month parking, got interviewed by Anderson Cooper. You know, just had all kinds of, she wasn't the only one with a snake. This was our mascot, the rubber chicken. Well, I already showed you the snake lady. The chicken waking up in the morning. But there was so much catastrophe and chaos going on. It was really a chance to just come alongside people and love them where they are. And when I came back from New Orleans, I mean, you know my story about Augie that I did my TEDx talk on, and maybe you could link to that if that's helpful.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell that story. I can't tell that story as well as I did that day.
No, yeah.
You know, so I thought, I think I'm going to start speaking professionally, and I hired a coach and polished up my stories, learned how to speak better, joined the National Speakers Association, and then did keynote speeches all over the place. And 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago now, I went through training to become a facilitator. And this was like a major breakthrough. Yes, I love telling stories, but I realized I can make more of an impact being the guide on the side than I can the sage on the stage. And that was a huge, like, what do you mean it's not all about me telling my stories?
Because they're good, right? They're good.
I love telling stories. I love entertaining people. But if I really want to help people process, I have to get out of the way, and they have to have the conversations and work through those ideas and those concepts and ask, how am I going to apply this to my life? You know, I think it's, if you think about from an art perspective, it's one thing to create something and people walk by and they go, oh, that's beautiful, and they keep walking. And if you can create something that makes them stop and they go, oh, wow, and they start reflecting on it and they start bringing it in here, then art has the chance, the opportunity to transform people. When they just walk by and go, no, that's cool. You know, it's like, I think if for some people, you could say, oh yeah, I heard Diamond speak once. He was great. It was awesome. Good stories. What did he talk about? I don't know. Disasters or something, and some lady that swallowed a snake. That's hard to forget. But I think the real art is realizing that it's not about me.
Mhm.
It's about how do I help other people? And then how do I integrate my faith into that? And I'm always asking myself the question, and I put this on my slides too. I usually end my presentations, even if I'm facilitating or keynoting, either way. I have a slide and I'll say something corny like, you know, if you were at my house, I'd take you back behind the screen and show you the 2 words that I spray paint on all my slides. Actually, I think I can just spin the slide around and show you. And then I advance the slide and it flips. And the whole slide's reversed, and spray painted on the back are 2 words, unstoppable love.
Mm.
Because that's the question I'm asking myself all the time.
Mhm.
What does unstoppable love look like?
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, things don't go well sometimes.
Yeah.
And I come back to that. What does unstoppable love look like?
Mm.
That's a question that I've asked myself 1,000 times.
Mhm.
The other question that I've asked myself even more is Jesus enough?
Mm. Mhm.
Because if he is enough, then I can ask the unstoppable love question with a completely different perspective.
Mhm.
Because I can love in a way that's not, what am I going to get out of it? How am I going to, you know,
Mhm.
no, I can just show up and be kind and surprise people.
Well, I got up this morning. This is just a segue into this. So I rarely dog ear, but I've had a big dog ear on this. So I'm reading the Innocence, the Book of Innocence. And it's talking about love, right? True love. It's that love that you're talking about, that you just, I mean, it's not about manipulation or wanting them to believe anything that you believe. Like, it's just fucking love, right? It
Yeah.
just love, like just pure love. And then this just stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, of course I'm talking with Dr. Dan today, because I feel love from you. I feel the energy of like full on Christ from you. Like, I feel that. And I didn't have a chance to meet Dr. Danny, but I feel that. Like, Sarah and I watched his some of his videos, and we just cry.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
and I mean, I don't know a soul that feels that can get through that without
Yeah,
crying.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then I read this morning, and it's all about love, right? So it's talking about history is filled with the evidence of love. In great literature, all great art, indeed inspired, is evidence of love. And just like what you're asking, you know, that whether you're treating someone or walking past something that somebody painted, if that is, if you're out of the way and allowing the true source God to come through you and paint that picture or treat that person, that's love. And that's what changes, right? God is all things, but truly inspired art is the expression of the imagination as informed by divinity seeking expression. It is the artist that will claim a new world by realizing potential, right? It's that, but it's not just any artist. It's the artist that gets out of their own way, right? It's the doctors that get out of their own way. It's the religious people. It's the Christians. It's those that get out of their own way and allow pure love to come. And when I read that, I'm like, so excited, you know, to talk to Dr. Dan today. And when I put why artists, like, so Sarah and I, we've been at Raindrop for a while, and the heart of Raindrop. And I was asking, why do we focus on artists? And I read this, and this just illuminated why we focus on artists. And so I wrote in my own writing, why artists? Because to do their art or their craft or their expression, they require God to express as them to be effective, right? It's really Christ coming through, God's love coming through, and they create a template for others to realize their potential. And that's truly the heart of Raindrop. That's what we're trying to supply, and just love on people where they're at, regardless who they are, where they're at. Like, no judgment. Like we're just here
Mm.
to show up as love
Hmm.
for that. And that I feel like is who that, the artists that we're looking to partner with are those that it's not artists. It's like I'm trying to just, I don't necessarily know how to articulate it, but it's those that express as love. That's
I
what you
think there's an idea that I got from Bryan Stevenson, and he has a talk on proximity to CEOs that's worth watching. It's so good. It's I would say one of the top 3 most important talks I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And he's talking about how do we break down racism and the importance of proximity, that we can't do it if we're not willing to come alongside each other. So I started thinking about proximity. And you think about when God built your face, he put your eyes right next to each other. They're proximate, but they're different. And because you have 2 eyes, you can see with depth perception. And I think that's one of the things that an artist does is help people to see from a little bit different angle and see some depth perception that they've never seen before. My buddy inspired me to start taking pictures with my phone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I showed you the close-up. I got to show you because I don't know if I showed my niece. Look at this. Hold on, there it is.
Oh, yes, you did. Yeah. With the
The
spider.
inside of a dandelion.
Right.
And there's a spider living inside the dandelion.
I know.
Like,
Right.
how cool is
I know.
that?
How cool.
How
Yeah.
did that happen?
Yeah.
And then I think when I look at stuff like this and this,
Oh, wow.
and you go, okay, God is an artist. But I'll very often, I'm doing it more now, slow down long enough to see stuff. And I think that's one of the great jobs of the artist is to get people to go, from over here, I would have never seen that before. And now this artist showed me a different way of looking at something that made me go, dude, that's incredible. Oh man, that's amazing. I mean, maybe I'm doing a mime, and I can present a different way that people haven't looked at something before and have them see it and hear it and feel it differently. With photography, I can do that. I think you can do that with any form of art. You can do it with pottery. You can do it with paintings. It's like, how do you take the stuff and present it in a way where people go, I thought I totally understood this thing, and now I'm looking at it going, this is not what I thought it was. That's when I look at it from Sarah's angle, because she's younger than I am, it looks different. And she can't see, if she doesn't hang out with me, what it looks like to be in my shoes. And then when we put our heads together, we go, oh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
It's cooler than either one of us thought it was going to be, independent of each other. It's like, man. There was this poor guy came and did a sermon at church, and he was talking about get your wonder back. It was before Christmas, and he was a visiting pastor. And he said, you know how when you're a kid, the whole world is just, you wonder about everything and you're surprised by stuff and you're like, oh my gosh. But then when you get old, you lose your wonder. And I don't usually do this, but I had to interrupt the dude. Say wrong, because I have way more of a sense of wonder now than I did before.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Way more.
Right.
Way more.
And I think Sarah's older than I am, but she's world older than I am. But 100%, I would agree in that. I mean, and just the allowance of being, and this is why. Also, again, my Raindrop is we have a back end to help bring passive income, because we want to create more of that art of timelessness, right?
Mhm.
That art of being and just i- being in it, right? And obviously that's not sustenance. You have to, make an income. So that's why that we have systems in place to support to do that. But um it's that allowing and also really releasing your identity, right? So how many labels could you have worn, Dr. Dan, in just the spectrum of places and different roles that you played? So many, right? And also the expression with the artist, like, a guitarist, they lose a limb. Who are they? Right? We want them to understand who they are. They aren't the one create, it's allowing it to come through that. So it's who are you in your true self, in that trueness behind all of that, the labels. And we say that you're not your art, that's maybe what you do. Like if you're a potter, then you throw pots. If you're a painter, then you paint, but that's not who you are. And it's really, we're really unpatterning trying to uncover what is your true essence and your true self, and your worth is in your being, just as a human being,
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
what you do. And if when you create art from that place, that's when you will, that's when it stops people, right? Then you're like, oh, because that came from a different place. It's not like you're having to do commissions and this person wants that and that, and then you lose yourself. You don't even know what you're painting anymore because that one wants a dog, this one wants a cat, that one wants an ant. I don't, it's just like
Yeah,
you
it
don't
sounds
even allow
interesting.
yourself to
Sarah's like, I could do it, man. This could be a,
I know I could throw it out. Well, unless it's an auntie, and I don't know.
yeah, no
But
kidding.
it's just
Yeah.
really, we wanted people, and that's why I'm so grateful that you're here with us today, Dr. Dan, is to help people come, feel the love, right? It is at the core. Dr. Danny oozes it. If I'm known for anything, I would like to be known for my love
Yeah.
for life. And I haven't always been that way. I mean, I'm one of those, you know,
Sarah's nodding.
yeah, no,
Let's bring her up
I
on
wouldn't,
screen.
I
I
wouldn't
want to know, I
probably
want to
be
know,
there yet.
Sarah, what change have you noticed in your mom?
I mean, for me, having her as a mom and life support my whole life, I've gotten to see her open herself more
Mm,
and really I want to say accept that love in herself that she gives to others.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's definitely one of the biggest things I've seen throughout my 19 years of being
You are so old. It's
or
incredible.
She's
Do your
amazing.
joints hurt when you get up in the morning?
not
She
yet.
witnessed.
Come on. Oh man.
Hmm.
I think one of the most difficult things, and Danny Friedland and I had some great conversations, and his book, Leading Well from Within, is one of my favorites of all time. It sits right here, boom.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I wrote one too called Beyond Resilience, Trench-Tested Tools to Thrive Under Pressure, but mine's thinner and not nearly as good as his. Um, he and I would have these conversations about it's hard to get past yourself.
Mhm.
You have to start inside and do that work. I mean, it's not like I'm going to stay home until I can figure myself out before I'm going to be in public, but um,
Yeah.
when I can love myself,
Mhm.
even when I make major mistakes, which I've done, it's like, okay, so when you just make a bad choice, make a mistake, do something that you don't like, how do you treat yourself? Do you beat the stink out of yourself? It's like, hmm, can I be kind? That's the thing that I see in Jesus that makes me go, oh my gosh, that you'd want to have a relationship with me, that you love me unconditionally, and you can see backstage, and you know all the stuff, and you still love me.
Mhm.
Larry Crabb wrote a book, and I was telling somebody about this recently. Larry Crabb wrote this book called Inside Out. He said most people stay so busy running full speed, jamming their schedules full of stuff, doing whatever they can to avoid looking at themselves because they're terrified that if they look at themselves,
Mhm.
they certainly will die because it's so bad. And what Crabb says, and it's two B's, C-R-A-B-B, what Crabb says in his book is, Jesus has already seen you, so you can stop running, turn around, hold his hand, and walk right back through this stuff and come out the other side of it healthy. It's like, really? Well, that'd be cool. You know, and you think, I've got art, I'm trying to create art, I'm trying to do this stuff. The imposter shows up that says, what if you're not good enough? I don't know. Do you guys struggle with that?
Right.
Like, what if I'm
I
not good
think
enough? What if my
adults
art's no
struggle
good?
with
What if
that
nobody
then
likes my
in
stuff? What if,
considering, yeah.
you know, what if everybody knew who I really am? I'm supposed to be talking about unstoppable love and all that stuff, but I don't have my act together. And like, you know, what, like, really? I remember reading in Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, the Apostle Paul says that 3 times he went to God and asked him to take this thorn out of his flesh. And we don't know what the thorn was, if it was diabetes or blindness or lust or, you know, who knows what it was. 3 times I asked God to take the thorn out of my flesh, and he replied, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. What? Because everybody else is saying, you don't let anybody know you're weak. Don't let anybody know you're struggling. But God's going, no, 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 no. My power is made perfect in your weakness. In other words, the imposter that's in here is totally invited to the table. Come on, sit here right next to me. It's okay. I don't have my act all together, but God prefers to use the weak people who are trying to figure stuff out to do great work.
Mm-hmm.
I can't paint like, you know, famous people. I'm a pretty good mime, but not as good as Marcel. But, you know, it's like, oh, but when I'm looking at my art, am I willing to take the risks, or does the imposter go, no, don't put that out there, because you put that out there, somebody's going to reject you. You're going to feel like crap if everybody thinks you know, and then you go, no, 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 no. God's power is made perfect in my weakness. You know that kintsugi? Is that how you say it? The art form, the Japanese stuff. You know what that is?
I've heard, yeah.
Like when you break the bowl and then you glue it back
Oh,
together
yeah,
again
yeah.
with gold glue.
Try that.
That's some cool art. I've got
Yeah,
one
it's very cool.
right over there. You just
Yeah.
can't see it, but it's right there.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
So I think, you know, there's an opportunity for us as artists to come alongside and say, okay, God loves me like I am. He wants me to do great things. He's calling me to live in a way that is forgiving and loving and just. I always thought I knew the word justice and what that was all about, but I think that's been redefined for me this last year. Justice is about caring about the poor and the vulnerable in our communities. Mm. It's not, you broke my window and you're going to get justice and have to pay for it. No, that's not what it is at all. You know, how do we bring that here to ourselves and then bring that to other people? And how do we do that through art? That's a cool thing.
Yeah, and that's really what we want, like, is just to have that expression coming forth. And so if you would talk to Dr. Dan about, like, you and Dr. Danny's work together, where you know, he talked about, so the struggle, right, is if you're anchored in the hierarchy of needs, like your feet are in security, like you know, the whole starving artist syndrome is a thing, the myth, it's a thing, and there are some artists that just rooted in that, and it's almost like a badge of honor, right? That I'm a starving artist. Well, that's okay. That's that's a choice, right? That's fine to whatever. But it's like for those who that's not who they are, that's just where they're at.
Mhm.
They're in safety, wondering where the rent is going to come, how are they going to navigate some of their, provide for their families. And then yet their art, which is maybe their livelihood or their source of income or their, the greater source, but they're trying to do all these things. And that's, it's the top of the self-accusation and trying to bring those divine of, the universe down, yet they're stuck at the bottom. And, I know mental health, it's a thing, it's growing. And I understand that, like, if you're an artist, it's even 18% more. I've had 2 cousins commit suicide. I didn't know anybody who wasn't successful up until just a couple years ago. Everybody I knew that's one thing they did successfully. So, that's also why we want to be off of social media, right? Because some of that imposter syndrome, they'll prove yourself right around that. It's brutal. So come off of social media, let us love on you and help you, create some income. But what is happening in the brain, Dr. Dan, when there's that gap, they're trying to bring the self-accusation, what is happening in the brain? I think then they shame on themselves, right? Because I need to create, I can't create, but I'm worried about my rent. So what is happening in that major gap?
Well, your brain is designed to keep you safe. And the default circuit is keeping you safe, keeping you alive, so you can figure out the rest later. It's really well made. I mean, if something happens, I don't need to say, gee, Deb, you should run.
There's a fire behind me. You
Yeah,
might
yeah.
want to get out of there, Deb.
I mean,
Get a
when you
close-
get really
Yeah.
stressed, they talk about fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And some people, an active shooter breaks into a restaurant. Some people would just stand there and go, I thought it was a movie. No, it's not a movie. It's a dude with a gun. They have to have movie permits, and they will tell you if it's going to be a movie. You assume there's a dude with a gun. Run, Forrest, run! So your brain is by default a machine, not a machine. It's a system designed to keep you alive. So you don't need more training on how do you become more reactive. And this was, Danny and I had great conversations about this. At the brainstem level of how your brain works, this thing is always monitoring your environment. If you hear a sound behind you right now, you're not going to go, I got to be camera ready and everything. I did my hair, it's all nice and everything. Now, if I hear a big sound behind me, I'm going to turn around and see what it is by default. Unless I've practiced not doing that. But my brain's, it's listening. It's if I smell smoke. I mean, all this stuff is going on while I'm still in the conversation. It's really cool. It's a beautiful design. That's at the level of the brainstem. If you come up the side and get into the limbic system, and McLean came up with this triune brain model that Danny loved talking about this, and his brilliance was mapping the triune brain to a simplified version of Maslow's hierarchy. It's way more complicated than that, but for the purposes of thinking about it, this limbic system is all about loving and belonging. And then your prefrontal cortex, which is the part that's right behind your forehead, knows how to do stuff. Like it can solve problems. It's the thing that you go, I don't know, I only have $3 left, but I need $5 to get more paint so that I can make something. This is the part that can go, I got a creative idea. I know how I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to become a street mime. No, just kidding. But this is the creative problem solver. It's like the CEO of your brain. It can do calculus. I'm living proof that you can force it to learn organic chemistry. There's all kinds of stuff. Brutal. Almost killed me.
I think that's when I got out of PT.
When you're at this safety frame, and you want to bring your creativity back on, there's a couple of ways to do that. But pretty much they all involve passing through this loving and belonging thing before you can bring on the creativity thing. I mean, it's really hard to be a creative artist if I have a knife at your throat or if I'm putting a gun in your face. Now paint something beautiful. I'm going to shoot you. You go, no, I can't do that right now. I'm kind of thinking about the gun in my face.
But even like rent due, like some of that feels like, it's
Yeah.
scary. It's that scary.
Yeah.
I mean, have, a family be homeless or whatever. It doesn't even have to be that extreme to have that visceral
Oh, for
feeling
sure.
in the body. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And when you can pause for a moment and notice that you're starting to freak out, sometimes it's really helpful to reach out to somebody else and say, I'm going through a tough time right now. Can you help me? Can you give me some advice? Because I feel like my brain's just offline. And then they go, oh yeah, Deb, I actually really care about you. I'm sorry you're going through a tough time. Let's talk this through. What are some options you might have? And you go, seriously, you're willing to talk to me? Yeah, I'm willing to talk to you. You're my friend. Now, I may or may not pay your rent. Probably won't. But
absolutely.
But at least you have somebody to talk to, and that brings your brain back online and gives you the opportunity to go, okay, I'm loved. Push comes to shove, Diamond will let me stay in his guest room, so we're okay.
Yeah, and they feel they're safe, right? And then realize, okay, so what? I mean, there's some of this practice that you take yourself all the way down. Okay, so what if that happens? Then what? What if that happens? Then what? And then you realize, okay, worst case scenario is really highly unlikely. Once you take yourself all the way down there, that is going to happen. I mean, even in those states of mind that you're like, well, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to be like down at the train tracks. I'll just be, sofa surfing. Oh, that's not that bad. Then you're like, oh, I'm safe. I'm safe.
Yeah.
I'm loved. I'm safe.
Or I got to go get a job.
Right. Either way, you're safe.
I mean, there's sometimes you got to go do a job to hold you over until you can get the other thing going. And most of us have done that at one point or another.
Oh, for sure.
So I think that's as far as how my brain works, it's, can I notice that I'm freaking? So Danny used to talk a lot about pause, notice, and choose. Can I pause long enough to notice that I'm freaking out and I'm down here in my brainstem going, bah, right now? And then pause, notice that, and then choose. I'm going to call Sarah up because I know Sarah cares about me. I'm just going to say, hey, Sarah, can you pray for me? Can we talk for a little while? Can you help me problem solve this thing? Ecclesiastes 4:9-12 says, two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If one of them falls, then the other can lift up his companion. But woe to the one who falls when he is alone. And he goes on to say, a cord of 3 strands is not quickly torn apart. And I love sailing. And I know that a 3-stranded cord woven together is way stronger than a single-stranded rope. Because when you pull on it, it squeezes part of the tension on it will squeeze that rope together. So part of that energy is going this way and not just that way. Did that make sense?
Yep.
It would have been easier to go this way. Fall off my chair here. Yeah, that's the deal.
No, I just want to thank you for going into that because, and that's with Raindrop. We help people create active income, passive income, get out of their situations, holding them in a place of, community, knowing that they belong, holding them accountable, meeting. I think we have 8 live times we meet a week. So
That's cool.
Meeting them right where they're at and what they need. So Dr. Dan, what does your creative process look like?
Which one?
Just like in a typical day, or in a typical cycle of creativity.
If I'm not careful, I get distracted. Like squirrel. and then I lose the day.
Yeah.
So right now I'm working on how do I, well, and my usual MO is I'll just get an app, and then
Mhm.
that'll keep track of my tasks until I have too many, and then I just get a different app. I've done that so many
You
times, but
start a new master list.
but I just got a new app yesterday.
Oh, so
And
you're clean. You've got a clean slate.
yeah, well, except I imported all the tasks from the other one, and now this app allows me to put them on my calendar really easily and just set aside time to actually start getting through this stuff. So that's, I think, my biggest challenge is how do I keep my energy level up and my enthusiasm? And then when I don't, am I nice to myself or do I beat the stink out of myself? And then yeah. My word for the year, every year I pick a word. My word for this year is rejoice.
Good one.
And what I'm finding is if I don't rejoice, then the heavies get even heavier. And if I do rejoice, stuff gets lighter and I can actually make progress and get things done. If I go, oh, this sucks, this is horrible, I can't believe I'm going through all these challenges right now. It's like, why am I doing, all that stuff? Man, it's get hard to move.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'll just do it tomorrow. And I start procrastinating. I don't know if you struggle with that, but I'm a really good procrastinator. Oof.
I try to pick on the things to procrastinate. We have a new system we're doing here, impact and what do you call it? Impact and effort. So we kind of work on that together. What takes a little, so it depends on your energy. If you something takes, high impact, low effort, or I also underneath effort I put resistance because there's some things that I just resist. That if I would just do them, it takes less time than the resisting it is causing.
There's
So,
two things that I've been doing. Two things, right? One, two.
yeah, the
My
gap.
family's different. It's not my fault. Two things that I've been doing that have been really helpful and incredibly nourishing. So great resources for artists. The first one is Lectio 365. It's a twice daily prayer meditation app and it's free. It takes about 10 minutes or so in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. It's produced by the 24/7 prayer people out of London. So most of them have really cool accents.
I love that.
And man, it's so nourishingly good. The second thing is the 5-minute journal. And it's just an app. It's a gratitude journal app. And if you're an analog person, then just get a paper book and write down 3 things that you're grateful for every day and why you're grateful and how they make you feel. And the more specific you get, the better. So then your body goes and your brain goes, oh, wow. Because sometimes part of this bringing this loving and belonging piece back in is the loving and belonging you have for yourself and the loving and belonging you have with God. So having that gratitude journal has been just delicious.
I like that. That's a good word. I like delicious.
I have one other picture I want to show you.
Yeah.
You ready for this one? Not that picture. That's not the one I was going to show you. I was going to show you a different button. I was going to show you that one. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I flipped it upside down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it's not what you thought it is. It's so cool, isn't it?
That is so cool.
Yeah. The hint is this kind of fuzzy, blurry stuff that's going on.
Right.
That's the water. But
That's cool.
life is like that. Sometimes when you flip it, you go, oh, it's really cool. And one other final big thought for you. Big things grow from little seeds.
Yes, they do.
That's deep and philosophical. Okay, I'm done showing you my crazy pictures.
I appreciate your crazy pictures. They are not.
Thank you.
I love them. What else, Sarah? I know I want to respect Dr. Dan's time. Yeah, think of
There's nothing on top of my mind.
nothing.
What's on the bottom of your mind?
I don't know. I'm really grateful to have this time with you and speak with you, hear your stories.
I like hanging out with you. I think it's cool that you and your mom are doing this together.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, we like doing it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really cool. So Dr. Dan, what closing advice? I don't know if advice is the right word, but inspiration or commitment to an artist who may not be feeling that love for themselves, may not feel they're good enough. I think you and I we kind of beat ourselves up in the same way. We kind of can identify with that, how that goes down. But what advice, again, I don't want it to be, it's not advice. I think you feel me though.
Yeah.
They're right in front of you. Obviously we want a hug, but what assurance that's just pure assurance that they know that they can find inside of themselves.
I would go back to, and that's a really great question. I appreciate you asking that. I've been through the darkness.
Mhm.
I know what it's like to be profoundly depressed.
Mhm.
I've walked through the suicidal thinking thing.
Mhm.
And I think your question is deeper than what do we do about those of us that are depressed and suicidal? There's
Yeah,
there's another
no,
piece beyond that.
there's that below that, right?
But how don't do the journey alone.
Mm, mm.
You know, have you ever read Screw Tape Letters?
No, but I've heard of them.
Yeah. Oh, Sarah, it's on your assigned reading list, and I want a one paragraph book report that has not been written by ChatGPT. You have to write the thing. Okay. So Screw Tape Letters. Have you read the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and all that stuff?
Mm.
Oh my gosh. Come
No,
on.
but,
Okay, Screw Tape Letters. The reason I brought up Screw Tape Letters is the story on Screw Tape is he is, and you know, it's a fictional story. He is he is a new demon that is the nephew of a guy named Wormwood, who's the undersecretary to the devil. And so Wormwood is coaching Screwtape how to do his thing, and the task that he's been assigned is a couple of teenagers. And so you imagine the war room of hell. Oh, wait, you should go like this.
The war room of hell.
It's like, and these demons are all sitting around, they're going, all right, how would you take down an artist and keep them offline so they don't create the art that they are destined to create, that God has put in their heart to create this art? What would you do to stop them? What are some ways?
Mhm.
Well, the first thing that I would do if I was Screwtape is I would say, oh, that's pretty easy. I would isolate them.
Mm.
Don't let them become part of a community.
Mm.
Just isolate them and then whisper junk in their ear like, you suck, your art's not any good, you can't even get a real job. I mean, all those, I would go after their heart with that stuff. And I just would keep them out of community, making sure that they think that they need to do it by themselves and that they think that they're the only one that understands. Because if you can isolate people and cut them off, they're an easy target.
Mm.
And I think that's why the Lectio 365 has been so helpful for me, is realizing I am loved
Mhm.
and reconnecting and spending time in prayer and meditation and
Mhm.
reading scripture. I'm working my way through the Bible in a year using a program right now.
Mhm.
And that's been really helpful. And then, you know, keeping a gratitude journal, but
Mhm.
pointing in the right direction. And sometimes I need to be in community so that my community will go, yo, dude, look over there. You go, oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. I'm going to my care group from church tonight.
Mm.
And it's an amazing experience.
Mm.
It's amazing. And it's not just a small group, it's a care group, and these people care about me. They check on me during the week. I check on them occasionally, but they check on me more.
Mm.
They reach out, and I know I'll go there and get good home cooked food tonight. And it's just like, huh. So, if you're my advice would be, if you're not in a group, get in a group. And if you can't find a group, start a group. And if you're not in a community, join yours. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. I know you're on your way shortly to London and Australia
Yeah.
to do some pretty incredible international
I'm
work.
excited to go do that, man. Oh, wow. I can hardly wait. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for the love that you give to all of us in the world, that those that you serve, those that know you and don't know you yet, maybe that you'll never meet. I'm sure that they feel you.
Well, thank you. I love spending time with you. I'm always looking for opportunities to go lead workshops and speak and do that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. So if
and
you've
we'll put
got
all your
people that
information
people know
below.
people that know people, and so
Right,
oh,
exactly.
here's another picture for you.
Oh,
That was Typhoon Yolanda in the Philippines.
that's precious.
You find art in the weirdest places when you look for it, even in the middle of disasters.
Mm,
Mm,
good stuff.
yeah.
Mm, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. We'll see you later.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
Thanks. Bye.